Hey. Oh my gosh, I could kill this guy. Racing enduros and motocross and back to the shenanigans. We had one guy that was just couldn't get the hang of it. Well, we found out he's wanting to sit on the seat the whole time, you know. Well, you can't go fast if you're sitting on the seat. You got to stand up and take the shock out with your knees and throw the bike around. So we decided we were going to cure him from sitting on the seat. Before the race started, he went to sign up and get his assigned number and everything. We hurried up and we armor-alled his seat. That thing was slicker than snot. He came back to the pits after the race was over and he was wanting to fight everybody. He wanted to know. He just threw his helmet at one guy and just kind of dumped his bike. He couldn't wait to tear into somebody. He said it was the most horrible ride he'd ever had. Of course, we thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And it was. Sometimes you had to ride pretty hard to make up some time. I was cutting across a pasture. I had this thing wound out. I was doing about 70 mile an hour across this field. I saw something out of the corner of my eye and I looked and here comes about a 300-pound sow trying to beat me to the trail. And I thought, well, okay, well she's gonna make it across before I get there, but it's gonna be close. She didn't go across the trail. She got to the trail and turned in front of me. I rear end her. The pig goes down. I go into tank slapper. I go down. A buddy of mine was actually about a minute behind me, saw the whole thing, and he had to stop and laugh. I don't know if you guys are familiar with or remember the Honda-matic. It was a 2-speed automatic, 1976. I think was the first year they came out with it. Because I remember going to work one night and saw a friend of mine had just bought one. He's sitting in a gas station and I stopped to check this bike out. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Oh, that's an automatic. Okay, yeah. With it in gear, with just his toe on the brake just to kind of hold it. You know, sitting there like this, talking to me. Another friend of mine had just stopped. He was on his way to work. This guy comes walking by, hey, nice bike. You know, wraps the throttle on this thing. It launches, the guy goes over backwards. The bike wheelies leaves him laying on the pavement and crashes into a board fence at the gas station. Everybody's sitting there like, I had a street bike, 1971, 75R BMW. Had fairing on it, had Triumph mufflers on it just to get a little sound out of it. BMWs were pretty quiet and that wasn't cool to have a quiet bike, you know. I had it up on the center stand one time in the garage and had to run back in the house and grab my wallet. The phone rang. I was in there for quite some time and came back out and was like, where's my motorcycle? Then I saw it. It was boom, 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 boom. It was kind of like a galloping horse sitting there idling on the center stand. It had walked itself like 30 feet across the garage and nosed itself into a corner. It was just kind of sitting there rocking. Had the transmission in my truck go out one fall. It was like November, December. This is northern Illinois, so it's kind of cold. In order to get to work, I had to ride my motorcycle. I worked a midnight shift, so I'd come out and everybody's scraping the ice off their windshields of their vehicles. I'm scraping the ice off the windshield of my fairing. I was shivering cold. I had the snot sickles going by the time I got to the house. Believe it or not, in 1971, this thing had cruise control. Get it set where you wanted it. It had a little thumb wheel, like a screw. You'd tighten down. Of course, you couldn't get it too tight. Otherwise, if you had to hurry up and, you know, get off the throttle, you didn't have time to unscrew it, you know. So you had to set it just right, but you didn't want to set it too loose. Otherwise, the thing would vibrate. And next thing you know, because I used to set it, let go of the throttle, I'd slide all the way back, put my feet up on the crash bars and just kind of cruise down the road with one eye open.
How were the drivers back then? Were they aware of motorcycles?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, you didn't hear about people getting whacked like they do nowadays. There weren't that many distractions in the cars. We didn't have GPS. You only had 2 stations on the radio. You know, there was people that, every once in a while you'd see a guy with a road map. They'd lay the newspaper on their steering wheel. And yeah, of course, we didn't have cell phones back then. We couldn't text.